Okay, this is chapter 8, communicating and collaborating with social media. Don't mind my dog barking in the background. Um, we will be looking at describing how teachers can use communication and social network technologies as teaching and learning tools, assess email and text messaging as information exchanges for teachers and curriculum content for students, understand how teachers can enhance communication and learning using websites and blogs, and demonstrate how to create and use teaching blogs. And then we're going to look at wikis as collaborative learning strategies for students and teachers. And this is like a really, I consider, an easy chapter, and we'll blast through it as fast as we can. We're going to focus on how would you describe the impact of communication technologies for teachers and students? How will your teacher communication systems create positive learning experiences for both you and your students? How can teachers use emails or instant messaging to foster information exchanges with and among students? What's the best use of a classroom website or teaching blog, and how can it improve learning for students? And then the wikis. How can wikis foster collaborative learning among teachers and students? Well, there's several ways we can uh, communicate electronically with our students, and that's, of course, email and text. You can make a teacher or a classroom website. You probably have hopefully discovered some of them with the homework and looking at the lesson plan websites that I asked you to look at and we actually had homework on that for your lesson plans. Blogs and microblogs, online discussions, wikis, you're probably all familiar with these types of things. We have the synchronous versus asynchronous communication, and synchronous occurs in real time, and asynchronous involves some type of time delay. In other words, if you're synchronous, you're probably doing a face to face or a webinar or something like that, face to face with a camera, is what I mean. Cameras or a webinar over the phone or something like that. And that's real time. And a lot of times they'll record those, and those are great. And then they'll put them on for you to look at any other time you want to, and that would be asynchronous. So that involves a time delay. What you're looking at now is asynchronous. Uh, so with the synchronous, you converse as the meeting's face to face as it is live. And then examples are phone conversations, instant messages, webinars, the things I talked about. Asynchronous involves a time delay. Communications wait for replies with mail. And examples are threaded discussions or blogs or something like this that we're doing right now. Social networking for educators. Well, we all know what social networking is in terms of Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or those types of things. Um, but they're also texting, blogging, website, all those types of things. And we generally don't want students doing them during school hours. We do have educational network for sharing educational curriculum and instruction information for professional purposes, and those can be discussion boards, book groups, all these other types of things. There are some educational blogs out there like Facebook, um, just for teachers. There are teacher website. Well, I don't know if they're called website, but teacher pages on Facebook um, that are directed just for teachers, and you can check some of those out if you want to. So we do a lot of social networking in our personal lives, but we kind of have to draw the line with our students because we don't want them fooling around on Facebook and Twitter and taking pictures for Instagram and all that stuff all the time. So we try to find a happy medium where they could still use that type of thing, but in an educational setting. Integrating electronic communications into your teaching. Well, teaching is well beyond the school day. Um, if you think you're going to be a teacher, you're going to go there at 8 o'clock in the morning and then leave at 3, and that's going to be the end of it. You just got the rest of the day to do what you want. Think again. It's not going to happen. You're going to be working on lesson plans. You're going to be doing a lot of things until you get it down pat. Once you get your first, second, third year of teaching under your belt, you can pretty much get things under control and put them on, kind of cruise control. But again, with new technologies, things are always going to be changing, so you got to keep up to date with that stuff. Um, and also, you can continue interaction with your students when class is out. You can share notes, assignments, web links, suggestions. You can do all this email, Blackboard type situations, um, grades, all those types of things. When you do this, you're engaging the students. You put the student in the position of doing rather than watching and listening. So what this chapter is trying to tell you is you want to get students involved in these blogs and wikis and all these things because it does engage them. You also be sharing information with their families. Um, so you can maximize the in-class instruction time and minimize confusion and doubt. Because oftentimes parents just are not grasping what their child comes home and says to them because that's all they have to go on. So when you do some type of electronic communication with the parents, it's very helpful to them because then they know exactly what you're trying to convey and understand what their children are actually talking about for the most part. Using electronic communications in your teaching, well, you build learning communities when you do this. You create connections that make individuals part of the learning group, and that is through meaning activities, and that again engages the students. It makes them wonder. They think in their mind, I wonder how this works. I wonder what's going on here. Um, I wonder if that's what's really happening. So those are really open-ended discussion topics that are very important and very engaging. You can publish a student work on the web. They love that, particularly the younger grades. They love it when you, as a teacher, as an authoritative role model, think enough of them to publish work on something that has your name on it. So they love that stuff. It celebrates what the student did, and they can be active. It helps them create more and be more active. And again, it's very fulfilling for them, and it makes them really happy. Energize student writing. There's several ways to do that. Teachers can open multiple opportunities for expressing ideas in writing. As we know, out of the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic, writing is the most neglected in many schools. And students really like to write and express themselves, and sometimes they do a lot better when they are not known. So sometimes you have these blogs and things like that where students can log in anonymously and write what they feel. Now, there's a give and take with that because when they're writing anonymously, they think that you don't know who it is. So you have to make sure to set some ground rules saying, look, I'm going to let you write anonymously to your other students so you can express yourself better, but if you're using vulgar language or sex or anything like that, I'm going to find out who you are. So you have to set some ground rules here, but they can express themselves a lot better when they are anonymous. Writing, along with verbal and artistic communication, lets students express ideas and information they might not otherwise share, and that's exactly what we're talking about with the anonymity. Email and text messaging, I think y'all know what that stuff is. I'm not going to worry about that. It'll take a second to read it, but I'm not going to go through it. Um, Websites and blogs for teachers and students. Again, you want to take the initiative and be a technological leader, and try to do a classroom website and you can find tons of teachers' classrooms websites on Google or Bing or whatever, and it's devoted to personal work as a teacher and an educator. You can do it a couple ways. You can have your own teacher website and use it as a personal portfolio, or you can do a classroom website, and that's where it's more focused on the students instead of the teacher. Let them upload things to the site, not download, upload. You can also do a teacher blog. Some of you may be bloggers out there. You can do an online journal. Um, and blogs can spark conversation and interaction with students. I don't know if any of you write or administer a blog, but I'm sure some of you may have got on a blog and uh, left comments or whatnot. So uh, students generally like blogs, so it's a good thing to do as a teacher. The difference between blogs and websites are blogs are easy to create and manage. There's several places out there where you can do a free blog, and we might, if we get a chance, make that an assignment. Um, Websites have a more formal tone or format, and although websites can be easy to make, if you want something rather sophisticated, you got to use a program like Dreamweaver or something like that, and that can be a little bit cumbersome. I mean, you can make a website out of Microsoft Word if you want to, but then you have to have somewhere to upload it to. You have to have a FTP, which is file transfer protocol, to a server, and a lot of times the schools will let you do that, put them on their servers, but then they use templates, and your creativity is somewhat limited. But if you have Comcast or something like that, generally, if you have Comcast internet, generally they'll let you do a website through them for free. It'll just say www.comcast.com/ whatever you want, but it's always going to have that Comcast on it. So it's not going to be www.drdavidwhite.com. It's going to, when you use these free things, you generally have something in front of them. If you want a .com exclusively for yourself, you're going to be paying about $100 a year for it, which is relatively cheap as it goes, but you got to fork out that $100 first. Blogs invite a personal voice and informal style, so that's something we want to look at as teachers. Uses for teacher blogs: student learning is one, student family communications is another, professional networking is another. So, and there's probably hundreds of more uses for teacher blogs, but these are the big three. Again, pretty straightforward. And then types of educational related blogs, organizing blogs, that's Formal Information Center for Schools, um, subject blogs, and teaching and learning blogs. So again, this is pretty straightforward. Design decisions in a building and building a teacher blog. Again, content posting. How do you add and replace content? Um, so blogs are somewhat like wikis. I mean, you put content in, and You can edit, take take it out, and do those things. So one thing that annoys me to all end is when I see a blog and it's got stuff from 1999 on it, um, and it's not relevant anymore. So generally you want to do it within 3 to 5 years. You replace stuff. Reader, I'm not sure if your book's going to tell you that, but that's my take on it. Again, reader response. How are readers' comments allowed to be managed? Is there a conversation area? And if there is, what are the rules? Because if you're using students, if you're going to have students participate in the blog, you have got to set ground rules. I think we'll talk about that in a minute, a little bit more. Who can view the site? Is it open for or limited to students in a given class? And authorship, who may post? Is it one person or several? So you have to ask yourself all these questions when you're going to design a blog. Excuse me. Examples of blog design decisions by teachers. It could be a teacher A, teacher B, or teacher C. They have here a single author of a site, which is open to all, uh, but with no comments offered. And then multiple authors, teacher and students. That has a password protection, and students are required to comment. And then teacher C, again, students required to respond on frequent posting on password protected sites. So you can go from pretty laid back to pretty rigorous if you want to. Analyzing these things, you have to plan and prepare for these things, for aesthetics, good information, uh, links that work, your content information, contact information. Are you going to have discussion boards? You're going to have comments, and what are the rules? Keeping it up to date, the class logistics, what's going on in the classroom, and then overall impressions. So you want to think about these things when you are creating a blog. Uh, Locally created sites may lack polish of commercial sites. So that's what I was talking about. If you're going through the school, it may not be as nice as if you're doing it yourself or you're doing it through a commercial site. Um, However, locally creative sites like Through the School may be more inviting to students. The jury's still out on that one. I've seen no research on that. Strategies for moderating online discussions. This is what we're talking about role. Focus on issues that have meaning and relevance to your students. Stress the importance of active, thoughtful participation. Uh, Emphasize rapid versus feedback. Establish clear rules for online conduct. Uh, Respond directly and tactfully. And develop an online reading response form for your students. So you want to give them some kind of form that they fill out uh, prior to commenting, and then a form for them to comment with. And forms are really just a dialogue box that gives them a certain amount of characters that they can use, which I'm sure you've all seen those types of things. Wikis, well, we know about wikis. You've been making wikis, but you've been using single wikis. You've been doing more like we call them wikis, but they're more of a blog situation actually, because wikis, although you can look at your other uh, counterparts or colleagues' wikis, and you could edit them or comment on them if you wanted to, but no one generally does that, and I have not asked you to do that. But you can look at other people's wikis within our little wiki on Blackboard here. Um, so in schools, wikis allow students and teachers to integrate technology in meaningful ways in the classroom, collaborate, synthesize and explain, and receive feedback. So although we aren't doing that, I have you do the wikis so you know how to use them, and it's up to you as technological leaders to take this little kernel of information that you've obtained in this class and do with it what you will and explore. So it says wikis make collaborative learning environments possible. Yes, they do. You can do a lot of collaborative stuff, work on projects, peer-to-peer interaction, peer-to-peers, having other classmates read and critique things of yours or each other's, teamwork, um, a lot of question asking and critical thinking. Um, and then when you have these wikis, no one individual has all the knowledge or does all the work. So if you have a group of students create a wiki or you have a classroom do the wiki, you get a lot of different perspectives and a lot of different knowledge. Um, Writing and editing is visible for everyone to see what has been contributed, just like the big wiki online. You can do a standards-based wiki, and you can address standards that the Sunshine State standards for technology um, and those things, the SD standards. Um, Collect academic information materials, uh, directly connecting curriculum frameworks and standards with the content you're trying to get across. And then wiki text. Don't even worry about this. I won't ask a question on it, but um, here it's a little bit. Students are put in decision-making roles, and it has a heightened sense of engagement. Students become creative content creators, not receivers, and review important information easily. So wiki text is just a little bit of a hyper wiki. And then the strategies for using the wikis with your students. You have to establish a collaborative part between the students. In other words, if you're going to do groups, you have to figure that out. Um, and things like, students work in small groups or as individuals for presentations to the group. Um, or nature of the wiki text, you start fresh or work with previous creative material. And then inappropriate or plagiarized material, you've got to watch out for that. Again, make rules and be a careful editor. You would be the editor as a teacher. And then grades for students, provide clear expectations and grading rubrics. So that's it for this chapter, and we'll see you next time.